The invasion began over the Atlantic at 3007 in the morning. No warning, no declaration, no bright speech from the stars. Just a black wound opening in the clouds, wide enough to swallow cities, and through it came the ships of the Veyr Dominion. They expected panic. They expected surrender. They expected a soft blue garden world full of fractured tribes, primitive weapons, and oxygen-breathing mammals too afraid of extinction to resist. By sunrise, they would learn the first truth about Earth. Humans did not become the dominant species because the planet was kind. Humans became dominant because everything here tried to kill them. And when the sky split open and the Empire descended, Earth did not kneel. It remembered. General Marcus Hale woke to the sound of breaking glass. Not a window, not a bottle. The world. His bedroom shook hard enough to throw the framed photograph off the wall. It struck the floor beside his boots and cracked across the middle, cutting his wife's face in two. For 1 second, Marcus stared at it. Evelyn in her blue dress. His daughter Lily on her hip. Both gone for 7 years. Then the second blast hit. The house bucked. Dust fell from the ceiling. Somewhere outside Fort Carson, Colorado, sirens began to howl. Marcus was already moving before his mind caught up. Years of command had worn grooves into his bones. He pulled on his uniform pants, grabbed the secure tablet from the nightstand, and slammed his thumb against the activation plate. The screen came alive with red warnings. Orbital contact. Multiple. Unknown vessels. Communication. Blackouts across eastern seaboard. NORAD response in progress. A call forced its way through. Colonel Ana Reyes appeared on the screen, her face lit by emergency lights. She was in the mountain bunker beneath Cheyenne, headset crooked, blood on one cheek. "Sir," she said, "we have confirmed atmospheric entry over 12 zones. Atlantic, Pacific, Siberia, Central Africa, Australian interior, and 2 over North America." Marcus pulled his jacket on. "Missiles already launched from 3 fleets and 6 ground sites. And?" Reyes looked away for half a second. That half second told him everything. "They aren't reaching the targets," she said. "Something is stripping guidance and detonating warheads early. The ships are still descending." Marcus opened the weapons safe, took out his sidearm and checked the chamber. "What do they want?" A new voice answered before Reyes could. Cold, filtered, almost musical. It came through every speaker in the house, the tablet, the wall alarm, even the old radio on his dresser. "People of Sol 3. You have been assessed by the Veyr Dominion and found suitable for incorporation. Your governments are obsolete. Your armed forces are irrelevant. Submit to landing authority and remain in population centers. Compliance ensures survival." Marcus stood still in the red wash of the alarm. The voice continued. "Resistance will be cataloged as animal aggression and removed." The broadcast ended. For a moment, only sirens remained. Then Reyes spoke again, quieter. "Sir, what are your orders?" Marcus looked at the cracked photograph on the floor. Evelyn used to say he had 2 faces, the one he showed soldiers and the one he saved for home. The invasion took the second one with the first enemy broadcast. He picked up the photo and set it gently on the dresser. "Wake the Legion," he said. Reyes went still. "Sir, that protocol was never authorized." "It is now." "The Council will. The Council can argue when the sky isn't on fire." Marcus holstered his weapon and stepped into the hallway as the bass loudspeakers screamed to life outside. He had spent 3 decades preparing for wars no one wanted to imagine. Cyber collapse, orbital bombardment, biological contamination, enemy occupation. But Death World Legion had always been different. Not a unit, not an army, a doctrine, a final human answer to invasion. Every soldier who had fought in mountains, jungles, deserts, tundra, cities, oceans, and orbit. Every retired engineer who knew how to make weapons from farm machinery. Every pilot who could fly damaged aircraft through storms. Every submarine crew drilled to vanish for months. Every special operations cell hidden inside friendly nations. Every survivalist network, medical reserve, logistics warehouse, drone yard, and hardened command bunker. A world at peace looked soft. A world with memory was never soft. The Veyr had awakened the wrong species. By dawn, the first alien landing craft touched down outside Norfolk. It came through low clouds like a cathedral falling from heaven. Long, black, ribbed with silver veins. The craft hovered over the naval yards, scattering rain into mist. Magnetic fields bent streetlights sideways. Cars slid across wet pavement as if dragged by invisible hooks. Lieutenant Commander Jonah Pierce watched from beneath a collapsed highway ramp with 23 sailors, 6 Marines, and a woman in pajamas holding a shotgun. His destroyer had been split in half by a beam from orbit before it left port. He had swum through burning fuel to reach shore. His left ear still rang. The alien craft opened like a seed pod. Figures descended on platforms of pale light. They were tall, too tall, 7 feet at least, with narrow bodies wrapped in layered armor that shifted color between charcoal and bone white. Their faces were hidden behind smooth masks, 4 arms each. 2 carried long rifles. 2 hung loose, ending in delicate fingers. Behind them came machines, tripods, 6 meters high, jointed legs clicking against asphalt, sensor heads rotating, weapons tucked beneath armored shells. The woman beside Jonah pumped her shotgun with shaking hands.
"What are they?"
she whispered. Jonah wiped blood from his mouth.
"Targets."
The first Veyr commander stepped onto American soil and spoke in that same translated voice. "Remain in place. You will be processed according to biological value." A Marine named Kavinsky laughed once. "Processed? Like meat?" One of the alien soldiers turned its mask toward him. Kavinsky lifted his rifle. Jonah caught the barrel and pushed it down.
"Not yet,"
he whispered. The Marine glared at him.
"They sunk the fleet. They think that means we're beaten."
Jonah looked past the landing zone, at the fuel depot, at the cranes, at the stacks of shipping containers, at the storm drains beneath the street. He had grown up in Norfolk. He knew every narrow service road, every old tunnel, every condemned warehouse waiting to fall. The Veyr had landed in a port city built by humans who understood hurricanes, fire, and war. "Let them walk in," Jonah said. The aliens advanced. One machine emitted a pulse. Every visible phone, camera, and civilian drone died at once. But beneath the highway ramp, an old analog detonator in Jonah's hand did not care about pulses. He waited until the first tripod crossed the fuel line markers. Then he pressed the switch. The earth opened in fire. A column of orange flame punched upward with a roar that drowned out even the alien weapons. The first tripod vanished inside it. The second staggered sideways, legs shearing through molten asphalt. Veyr soldiers scattered, armor flashing with heat shields. The woman with the shotgun screamed and fired. The Marines rose as one. Rifles cracked beneath the overpass. Not elegant, not advanced, human. A Veyr soldier dropped with 3 rounds through the neck seal. Another spun as buckshot shattered the lenses of its mask. The aliens returned fire, white needles cutting through concrete. A sailor fell without a sound, chest smoking. Kavinsky dragged him back by the vest and kept shooting one-handed. Jonah fired 2 controlled bursts and shouted, "Move!" The humans disappeared into the ruins. The Veyr commander stood in the burning rain, staring at the dead machine. Its translators clicked. Primitive resistance confirmed. Above Norfolk, the black ship adjusted its angle. Orbital Command sent a report upward through the fleet. Human urban zones contain pre-existing defensive irregularities. Recommend shock pacification. Aboard the Dominion flagship Crown of Ash, High Marshal Threx Vale read the report with mild irritation. He stood before a viewing membrane that showed Earth turning beneath him. Blue oceans, white storms, brown continents, a beautiful world wasted on animals. Around him, officers moved in silence through tiers of black glass. The Veyr did not shout. They did not hurry. They were an old empire. 5,000 conquered systems had taught them the dignity of inevitability. Threx's body was long and angular beneath his ceremonial armor. His crest of silver spines lay flat against his skull, a sign of control. He had never lost a campaign. He had broken the stone hives of Corin, drowned the moon clans of Telvesh, and harvested 3 species that had possessed faster ships than this one. Sol 3 should have been simple. A divided world, no unified planetary shield, no effective orbital navy, no interstellar allies. High gravity and unstable climate had made the native creatures physically durable, but primitive. Dangerous in small groups, manageable at scale. The Dominion's assessment had been clear: conquest within 31 planetary hours, assimilation within 2 cycles, resource extraction within 6. Then his tactical priest Savan approached and bowed. "High Marshal, our landing group at Norfolk has suffered losses. How many?" "1 walker destroyed, 17 infantry dead, 3 missing." Threx turned from the planet. "Missing?" "They were pulled into subterranean drainage systems during withdrawal." "By military forces?" "Unclear. Some attackers wore uniforms, others did not." Threx's crest lifted slightly. "Civilians attacked Dominion infantry?" "Yes, High Marshal." A few officers paused in their work. Among the Veyr, civilian populations fled, hid, or offered tribute. They did not attack armored soldiers with personal tools. Mark the zone for discipline, Threx said. Glass the port. Sivan hesitated. High Marshal, we have not completed infrastructure value mapping. Threx looked down at him. The tactical priest bowed lower. At once, the order traveled through the flagship into the lower atmosphere. Above Norfolk, the alien craft brightened. Jonah Pierce saw the light growing through broken clouds. He knew what it meant before anyone said it. The air changed. Hair lifted on his arms. A pressure built inside his teeth. He and the survivors had reached an underground maintenance corridor near the old rail spur. Civilians crowded there now. Dock workers, families from flooded neighborhoods, 2 police officers, an old man carrying a Vietnam veteran cap and 3 pistols. Kavinsky leaned against the wall, pale from blood loss. The woman with the shotgun, whose name was Marcy Bell, clutched a little boy who would not stop shaking. Jonah looked toward the stairwell. "We have to get deeper," a sailor shouted from the entrance. "Commander!" Jonah ran back. Through the smoke, he saw the alien ship lowering its nose toward the port. The clouds above it glowed white. Then the sky flashed. Not from the alien ship, from the ocean. A missile rose from beneath the Atlantic on a pillar of steam. Then another. Then 6 more. Submarine launched. Old monsters hidden under black water. The alien point defense woke, slicing 3 missiles apart in midair. 2 more spiraled dead as guidance failed. But one kept coming. It did not fly straight. It corkscrewed. It shed decoys. It fell, dipped, climbed again, and punched through a gap in the alien defense field like a knife through cloth. The warhead detonated against the craft's underside. The sound arrived a heartbeat later. A deep, metallic boom. The alien ship lurched. Its beam vanished. Fire poured from its belly. It tried to climb, engines shrieking. Then a second missile hit. The craft rolled over Norfolk, shedding fragments the size of buildings. It crashed into the bay with a wall of boiling water that smashed windows for miles. In the maintenance tunnel, humans screamed, laughed, cried, prayed. Jonah lowered his head, not in relief, in respect. Somewhere under the Atlantic, a crew had revealed themselves to save a city. The Veyr would hunt them now. That was the first cost. By the end of the first day, the Veyr controlled orbit. That was what every news crawl said before the networks failed. They destroyed satellites with elegant bursts of energy. They shut down GPS, civilian internet backbones, and most long-range digital communications. They struck air bases, carrier groups, radar installations, missile fields, and command centers. But control was not possession. At 0900 hours, Veyr infantry landed outside Houston and found empty highways filled with abandoned vehicles. At 0936, the vehicles detonated in sequence, turning 10 kilometers of road into a furnace. At 11:02, a Walker column entered the streets of Warsaw and was trapped between collapsing apartment blocks triggered by demolition crews who had refused evacuation. At 13:04, an alien patrol in the Amazon vanished after pursuing heat signatures that turned out to be monkeys wearing emergency blankets. At 15:49, a Veyr reconnaissance unit in northern Canada reported hostile weather, engine failures, and attacks by large white quadruped predators. Their final transmission described humans moving through snow in white suits, silent as ghosts. At 1800, High Marshal Threx Vale revised the conquest estimate. 31 hours became 9 days. In the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, General Marcus Hale listened to reports with a stone face. The bunker smelled of hot electronics, recycled air, and fear hidden under discipline. Maps covered the main wall, not digital maps alone, paper maps too, laminated, marked with grease pencil. Old habits had returned fast. Colonel Reyes stood at his side, one arm in a sling. Pacific Fleet elements are scattered but fighting. Moscow Command confirms nuclear readiness but requests restraint. Beijing says their Western Army groups are intact. European cells are moving civilians underground. And the Legion? Activation successful in 82% of regions. Some dead zones, some confusion. But the message got through. Marcus watched the red icons falling across the globe. Each one was an alien landing site. Each one became surrounded by smaller blue marks. Militias. Marines, rangers, farmers, engineers, hunters, truckers, drone hobbyists, retired mechanics, medical volunteers, firefighters. The world had not become united because humans suddenly trusted each other. It had united because the thing above them was worse. Reyes lowered her voice. "Sir, there's another matter." Marcus turned. She tapped the screen. A frozen image appeared, captured before the satellites died. An alien ship entering orbit near the moon, not like the others, smaller, older, damaged along one side, no Dominion markings. It transmitted on a narrow beam, Reyes said, not to governments, to emergency frequencies, repeating in 28 languages. What does it say? Reyes played the audio. The voice was rough, full of static, but human words came through. Do not surrender. Dominion harvest protocols active. They are not here to occupy. They are here to breed soldiers from your dead. The room went silent. Marcus felt the old wound in his chest tighten. From our dead? That's the translation. A technician spoke from a nearby station. Sir, the vessel is descending. Looks like it's trying to land in Nevada. Can we contact it? We're trying. Reyes looked at Marcus. If this is a trap, it's already a trap, Marcus said. The only question is who set it. The damaged alien ship crashed in the Nevada desert at sunset. It came down near the dry bones of an old test range, carving a black scar through miles of sand and sagebrush. Drones reached it first, then helicopters flying low under broken radar, then a convoy of armored vehicles with no lights. Marcus went himself, Reyes argued. He ignored her. The desert wind carried the smell of scorched metal and something sharp like vinegar and blood. Soldiers surrounded the wreck. Its hull was bronze, not black. Its curves looked grown rather than built. Steam hissed from ruptures along its side. A hatch opened before the breaching team reached it. Something stepped out and collapsed onto the sand. It was not Veyr. It was shorter, broad-shouldered, covered in gray skin with dark stripes down its arms. Its eyes were large and amber. 2 small tusks curved from its lower jaw. It wore a torn flight suit and carried no visible weapon. A medic moved forward. The alien flinched. Marcus raised a hand. Easy, he said. We're not them. The alien looked at him. Its translator unit sparked against his throat. Human command? Yes. I am Captain Rotal of the Free Keth Remnant. The creature coughed dark blood into the dust. Your world has less time than you think. Reyes crouched beside it. You warned us about harvest protocols. Rotal's amber eyes moved to her. The Veyr do not merely conquer, they collect. Strong species are broken, processed, and rewritten. Their dead become Dominion war forms. Their living become breeding stock until usefulness ends. One of the soldiers muttered a curse. Marcus felt the desert grow colder. Why warn us? Rotal laughed weakly. It was a bitter sound. Because they did it to us. His hand opened. Inside was a small, blood-slicked data core. We were a warrior people, proud, stupid. We fought them in open battle. They studied our honor, then used it to slaughter us. I escaped with their internal files. Reyes took the core. Rotal gripped her wrist with surprising strength. They misclassified you, he said. They think you are pre-cohesion mammals. Violent, yes, but politically divided. Strategically immature. Marcus almost smiled. They got the divided part right. No. Rotal's eyes found his. They missed the important part. What part? You practice war against yourselves. The words settled over the desert. Rotal continued. For thousands of years, your species has refined killing, survival, deception, endurance, trauma medicine, logistics, and command under pressure. You do not have one war tradition. You have thousands. Every climate, every terrain, every failure recorded and studied. He coughed again. The Dominion thought they invaded a primitive world. Marcus looked up at the burning alien wreck. Rotal's voice dropped. They invaded a military archive with children. That night, under Cheyenne Mountain, the data core opened. What it showed changed everything. The Veyr had not chosen Earth for minerals. They had not come for water or land or slaves. They had come because of the dead. Their scouts had watched human battlefields through centuries. Waterloo, Gettysburg, Verdun, Stalingrad, Iwo Jima, Chosin Reservoir, Fallujah, Kiev, countless others. They saw bodies. They saw endurance. They saw humans fighting through wounds that killed other species instantly. Humans carrying injured comrades under fire. Humans surviving infection, hunger, frostbite, burns, radiation, grief. To the Veyr, humanity was not a civilization. It was raw material. A death world species with nervous systems capable of extreme adaptation. Muscles that functioned under lactic acid stress. Immune systems like biological minefields. Social bonds powerful enough to override self-preservation. The Dominion wanted to harvest human neural patterns from fresh dead and imprint them into engineered war bodies. A death world legion, not humanity's, theirs. Marcus watched the projections in silence. Rows of artificial bodies, human-shaped in some ways, larger, armored, empty, waiting for stolen minds. Reyes stood beside him, face pale. They're not trying to destroy us, she said. No, Marcus replied. They're trying to copy us. Rotal sat in a medical chair behind them, wrapped in thermal blankets. His breathing was wet. The harvest ships will descend after resistance centers are softened, he said. They collect battle dead first. The fresher the brain, the stronger the imprint. A young intelligence officer swallowed hard. How many? Rotal looked at the map. For a planet this size, billions if allowed. No one spoke. Marcus thought of Evelyn. Not her death. That had been cancer, not war. He thought of Lily. Her last day. A hospital room. Small fingers in his hand. Her asking if he would stay until she slept. Him promising yes, while an operations call buzzed unanswered in his pocket. He had not feared death since then. But this was different. Death was one thing. Desecration was another. Marcus turned to Reyes. Send the new priority. To all commands? To everyone. Reyes nodded slowly. What message? Marcus looked at the map of Earth, bruised with enemy fire. Deny the harvest. The war changed after that. Humans stopped fighting for ground alone. They fought for bodies. Every battlefield became a rescue mission and a cremation ground. Medics dragged the wounded back under alien fire. Soldiers risked their lives to retrieve the dead. Civilians built pyres in city squares when morgues overflowed. Naval crews weighted fallen comrades and sent them into deep water before alien drones could arrive. It enraged the Veyr. It confused them. On the fourth day outside Cairo, a Dominion collector craft descended over a field of wrecked tanks and dead infantry. It found nothing, only ashes blowing across sand. A message had been carved into the side of a ruined alien walker in Arabic, English, Russian, and Mandarin. You do not get to keep us. High Marshal Threx Vale ordered harsher measures. Cities that resisted would be sealed under containment domes. Rural regions would be burned from orbit. Food networks would be targeted. Hospitals marked as military infrastructure. Water plants disabled. He expected hunger to break humans. He expected cold to break them. He expected grief to break them. Instead, the old instincts rose. In Montana, ranchers opened private wells and fed National Guard units from winter stores. In the Appalachian Mountains, ham radio operators became a nervous system for half a continent. In Finland, grandfathers taught teenagers how to vanish between trees while alien thermal sensors chased camp stoves tied to sleds. In Lagos, mechanics built anti-drone guns from industrial magnets and truck batteries. In Seoul, subway tunnels became command posts. In Texas, a church basement became a trauma ward. The Veyr called it disorder. Marcus called it depth. But courage did not stop orbital weapons. By the seventh day, Earth was bleeding. Boston burned. Shanghai's outer districts were flattened. The Mississippi had 3 alien craft sunk in it and 2 bridges left standing. Food convoys vanished under drone strikes. Hospitals ran on generator fumes. Every victory cost too much. In Cheyenne Mountain, the casualty board changed too fast to read. Colonel Reyes found Marcus alone in a side corridor, staring at a vending machine that had stopped working 2 days earlier. For the first time since the invasion, he looked old. "Sir," she said, "he did not turn. My daughter used to love those terrible peanut butter crackers." Reyes said nothing. She would trade anything for them. Halloween candy, birthday cake, didn't matter. He exhaled. "I commanded 3 operations the week she died. I told myself duty mattered. I told myself I was protecting other people's children." Reyes stepped closer. "You were. I wasn't with mine." The bunker hummed around them. Above, the world shook. Reyes's voice softened. "Marcus." He looked at her then, not as general to colonel, as one tired human to another. "What if Rotal is wrong?" he asked. "What if all we are doing is making better corpses for them?" Reyes's jaw tightened. "Then we make them pay for every inch." Before he could answer, the alarms changed pitch. A technician's voice burst over the intercom. "Orbital breach! Enemy strike inbound! Multiple kinetic rods!" The mountain jumped. Lights went out. Then red emergency strips flickered on. Dust rolled through the corridor. Marcus hit the wall, caught himself, and grabbed Reyes before she fell. Somewhere deep in the complex, metal screamed. Another impact. Then another. The Veyr had found Cheyenne. In the command center, chaos ruled for 15 seconds. Then, training returned. "Damage report." Eastern access collapsed. "Reactor stable. External antennas gone." Casualties in levels 4 and 6. Marcus reached the central table. The main wall flickered, then steadied. A new icon burned above North America. A massive Dominion vessel had begun descent, not a landing craft, a harvest ship. Its projected path ended over the central plains. Reyes wiped blood from her eyebrow. "They're moving early." Rotal, weak but standing with help from a medic, stared at the screen. "No," he said. "That is not harvest only. Marcus turned. What is it? Rotal's throat translator crackled. Genesis vessel. It carries the imprint foundries. If it anchors, they can process your dead-on world. No need to return to orbit. How long to anchor? 6 hours. Marcus looked at the damaged communications board. What assets do we have that can hit it? No one answered quickly. That was answer enough. Finally, Reyes said, strategic missile systems are degraded, air wings are scattered, railgun platforms are gone, submarines are hunted. We might damage escorts, but that thing is shielded. Marcus studied the map. The Genesis vessel was descending toward Kansas. Flat land, old missile fields, rail lines, caves farther east, storm systems moving in from the Rockies, and beneath the projected path, one blue icon pulsed. Legion Node 7, Fort Riley, still active. Marcus tapped it. Who commands Riley? Reyes checked. Brigadier General Aisha Bell. Marcus knew the name. Logistics genius. Former combat engineer. Lost a son in the first orbital strikes. He opened a hardline channel. Static filled the room. Then a woman's voice came through, calm despite explosions in the background. This is Bell. General Hale. Good to hear your voice, sir. Thought they buried you. They tried. We need to bring down the Genesis vessel. A pause. Then Bell said, with what? Marcus looked at Rotal. The alien captain's amber eyes narrowed. The shields deflect high-energy strikes, Rotal said. They adjust to velocity and heat. Bell heard him over the channel. Then we hit it with something dumb. Marcus felt the shape of the idea forming. How dumb? Bell said, Sir, Kansas is full of grain elevators, freight yards, fertilizer plants, fuel depots, and angry people with welding equipment. Reyes looked at Marcus. For the first time in days, she almost smiled. Bell continued. If we can't pierce the shield, we overload it. Dust, debris, heat blooms, chemical fire, drones, artillery, everything at once. Make their system choose what matters. Rotal lifted a shaking hand. That may create a flicker. Not enough for missiles. Marcus looked at the old map. Not at weapons. At terrain. What about mass? Rotal blinked. Explain. Marcus pointed to the projected descent corridor. If that ship lowers to anchor, it has to pass through atmosphere. It has to stabilize. It has to trust its own gravity control. Bell was silent for 2 seconds. Then she said, There's a Union Pacific freight line under that corridor. Reyes leaned in. Carrying what? Bell answered. Everything we can steal. The plan was insane, which meant it was human. Across the Midwest, under alien drones and burning skies, people moved. Farmers drove tractors without headlights, dragging fuel tanks through cornfields. Rail workers pulled locomotives from hidden sidings. National Guard engineers loaded flat cars with mining explosives, fertilizer slurry, scrap steel, concrete blocks, old tanks, and anything dense enough to matter. Drone teams launched swarms from barns. Artillery crews displaced after every shot. Ham operators passed coordinates in code, disguised as weather reports. At the center of it all, General Aisha Bell stood in a half-collapsed command post under Fort Riley, speaking into 3 radios at once. She was 51, compact, sharp-eyed, with gray in her braids and soot across her uniform. On the table before her lay a photograph of her son Daniel in marine dress blues. She touched it once before each major order, not for luck, for permission. Her aide, Captain Morris, watched alien icons multiply on the map. Ma'am, Veyr armor is moving from Topeka. They know something's here. Of course they do. We can evacuate command to secondary. Bell shook her head. If we move, the rail crews lose coordination. Then we'll be overrun. Bell looked at him. Not before the train moves. Outside, alien walkers crested the highway. Their weapons lit the dusk. Human artillery answered from tree lines and school parking lots. Shells burst against shimmering shields. Drones dove into sensor heads. Pickup trucks with mounted rockets fired from behind barns and vanished down dirt roads. The Veyr advanced anyway, precise, cold, deadly. In orbit, High Marshal Threx watched the battlefield grow. Human activity clustered beneath the Genesis vessel's path. Predictable, desperate, primitive creatures always gathered around symbols. Destroy the ground forces, he ordered. Savan bowed. They are difficult to isolate. Their thermal signatures are mixed with livestock, engines, fires, and decoys. Then burn the region. Genesis descent turbulence limits orbital fire. Threx's crest rose. Again, this planet's atmosphere interfered. Storm fronts, particulate density, electromagnetic noise. Earth was not merely inhabited by Deathworlders, it was one vast machine for ruining clean operations. Deploy the Legion prototypes, Threx said. The bridge fell silent. Savan looked up. "Hi, Marshal. They are untested. They were made from Keth stock. They will suffice." Below Kansas, the first Dominion warforms dropped from black pods. They hit the ground in craters and rose through smoke. They had once been Keth. Maybe not Rotal's kin exactly, but close enough. 8 feet tall. Thick-limbed. Armored from within. Their eyes glowed with Dominion control implants. They carried heavy plasma weapons fused to their arms. They did not speak. They charged. At Fort Riley's outer perimeter, Captain Morris saw them coming through the smoke. "What the hell are those?" Bell stared, then understood. "The Dominion's stolen dead." "Proof," she said. The warform slammed into the defensive line. A machine gun opened up and stitched sparks across a creature's chest. It barely slowed. It grabbed the gunner and threw him 15 feet into a wall. A soldier fired an anti-armor rocket at close range. The blast tore off one of the warform's arms. It kept coming. Bell grabbed a radio. "All units, aim for control nodes. Neck, skull base, spine. They are not monsters, they are prisoners." Her voice shook on the last word. At the Cheyenne bunker, Rotal heard the battlefield feed and made a sound like breaking stone. Marcus turned to him. "You know them?" Rotal's hands clenched. "My people." On the screen, one warform took 3 grenades and still crawled toward a trench. Rotal stood. "Send me." Reyes stared. "You can barely walk." "I know their anatomy. I know the old command can't. If any mind remains..." Marcus shook his head. "You'll die." Rotal looked at him. "Yes." The room went quiet. The alien captain's voice softened. "When the Veyr took my world, I escaped because my mate held a gate with 30 soldiers. I told myself survival was duty. Perhaps it was. Perhaps it was cowardice. Do not deny me this." Marcus understood that wound. Too well. He nodded once. "We'll get you there." Rotal arrived at Fort Riley in a battered tiltrotor that landed under fire. By then, the Genesis vessel filled the sky. It descended like a black continent, its underside ribbed with glowing chambers. Clouds spiraled around it. Lightning crawled across its shields. The freight train waited 15 miles west, hidden under camouflage netting and sheets of heat-dampening foil. 6 locomotives, 112 cars. Every car packed with mass, fire, explosives, and human spite. The plan required the Genesis vessel to pass low over a rail cut where old terrain and new demolition charges would funnel the blast upward. The train would be remotely accelerated to full speed, then detonated beneath the ship at the exact moment its shields were overloaded by attacks from every direction. If the timing failed, nothing happened. If the shield held, nothing happened. If the Veyr discovered the train early, everything was lost. Bell met Rotal at the command post entrance. "You the alien who warned us?" He leaned on a human medic. "Yes." "Good." She handed him a rifle. "Can you shoot?" "Badly." "Then stay behind someone big." Rotal looked toward the line, where warforms were breaking through the smoke. "I must speak to them." Bell's expression hardened. "They're killing my soldiers." "They are already dead," Rotal said. "But perhaps not gone." Bell held his gaze. Then she nodded to Captain Morris. "Get him to the East Trench." The East Trench was no trench anymore. It was a wound in the earth full of mud, blood, and shell casings. Rotal climbed into it as a warform approached through smoke. Bullets struck its body. It ignored them. Its weapon arm glowed. Rotal stood upright. The medic shouted, "Get down!" Instead, Rotal spread his arms and bellowed in a language no human throat could make. The warform stopped. Just for one step. Its head twitched. Rotal shouted again. The creature's weapon arm trembled. Its glowing eyes flickered. A human sergeant beside Rotal whispered, "What are you saying?" Rotal did not look away. "I am calling him by the name of his ancestors." The warform roared. Its weapon swung toward them. Then it drove its own arm into the ground and fired, blasting dirt instead of the trench. Dominion control fought dead memory. Rotal screamed the words again, voice tearing. The warform lifted its free hand and struck the implant at the base of its skull. Once, twice. The third strike cracked armor. A sniper on the human line saw the opening. One shot. The implant shattered. The warform collapsed to its knees. For the first time, its eyes were not glowing. It looked at Rotal. A low sound came from its ruined mouth. Rotal touched his forehead. "Go," he whispered. The warform fell dead. Across the line, humans who had seen it began changing targets. Not center mass. Not panic fire. Control nodes, necks, skull bases, spines. The Dominion prototypes began to fall. Everyone cost lives. Everyone bought time. At the rail yard, Jonah Pierce arrived with the surviving Norfolk sailors after 6 days of fighting their way inland. His face was thinner now. His left arm was bandaged. Marcy Bell came with him, shotgun replaced by a captured alien rifle she hated but used well. She saw General Bell's name on a radio crate and froze.
Your name Bell?
Jonah asked.
My brother married a Bell, Marcy said. Kansas side. Haven't heard from them since day 2.
Before Jonah could answer, a runner shouted,
Remote link is unstable. Alien jamming is increasing.
The train could not be launched remotely. The yard went silent. Then every eye turned toward the locomotives. Jonah felt the old shape of command settle on him.
How long does someone need to stay aboard?
A rail engineer named Luis Ortega wiped grease from his hands. Through acceleration, past the first switch, maybe 5 minutes.
And after?
Ortega did not answer. Marcy stepped forward. No. Jonah looked at her. She knew his face. She had seen it under the Norfolk ramp when he waited to detonate the fuel lines.
You are not doing that,
she said. We need the train. Someone else can drive. Jonah looked at the sailors around him. The Marines, the rail workers, the civilians who had survived because someone always stayed behind. He thought of the submarine crew beneath the Atlantic. He thought of the sailor who died in the tunnel. He thought of Norfolk burning but not erased.
I know the timing, he said.
Ortega shook his head.
You don't know trains.
Jonah nodded toward him.
Then teach fast.
Marcy grabbed his sleeve.
Why does it always have to be you military boys?
Jonah's voice dropped.
Because I'm here.
She slapped him, hard. No one moved. Then she hugged him just as hard.
You bring that ugly Navy face back somehow, she said.
He almost smiled. Yes, ma'am. Above them, the Genesis vessel lowered through lightning. At Fort Riley, Bell received the update.
Manual launch,
Morris said. Bell looked at the clock.
Tell all batteries to prepare final sequence.
Ma'am, Veyr armor is inside Perimeter 3. Then Perimeter 3 can die usefully. Morris flinched. Bell hated herself for saying it, but she did not take it back. That was command. Not glory, not speeches. Math done with human souls while the clock ran. She touched Daniel's photograph.
I'm sorry,
she whispered. Then she keyed the radio. All Legion units, this is Bell. The enemy believes our dead belong to them. They believe our fear can be harvested. They believe Earth is a storage pit for their empire. Her voice carried through bunkers, trenches, basements, barns, moving trucks, and broken radios across the region. They are wrong. Fire on my mark. Hold nothing back. In the locomotive cab, Jonah sat beside Ortega as engines thundered awake. The controls shook under his hands. Ortega pointed. That lever forward. Not all at once. Feel it. She's heavy. She? Everything that can kill you is a she. Jonah pushed the throttle. The train groaned. For one terrible second, it did not move. Then couplers clanged down the line like cannon shots. The Deathworld train began to roll. Alien drones detected it immediately.
Contact,
someone shouted over the radio.
They see the train.
Marcy climbed onto the roof of a grain elevator with 3 soldiers and the captured rifle. The first drone came low over the yard, a silver blade with a blue eye. Marcy fired. The alien weapon kicked like a mule and burned the air white. The drone split in half and crashed into a water tower. She worked the charge and spat blood from a bitten lip.
Come on then, she said. I got more.
The train gathered speed.
20 miles per hour. 30.
40. The Genesis vessel's shadow swallowed the land. At High Marshal Threx's command, the flagship identified the human maneuver. A mass conveyance, Savan said, loaded with chemical explosives and debris. Threx stared. They intend to ram atmosphere? Not ram. Detonate beneath Genesis during anchoring. Destroy it. Jamming has disrupted guidance. Local drones engaging. Threx's crest flared fully now. The animals had built a spear out of transportation infrastructure. Divert Genesis altitude. Saban's hands moved over the controls. A pause. Unable. Atmospheric turbulence and shield load require stable descent for 4 more minutes. On Earth, 4 minutes became a lifetime. Jonah pushed the locomotive harder. Warning lights flashed. The windshield cracked from debris. A drone burst ahead of them, shot down by someone he would never meet. The radio hissed with Bell's voice. Train 1, you are 30 seconds behind optimal. Jonah glanced at Ortega. Ortega grinned without humor. Then we stop asking permission. He shoved the throttle past the marked limit. The locomotive screamed. Behind them, 112 cars slammed forward, metal wheels shrieking on rails. A Veyr strike hit the rear cars. The explosion ripped 10 cars off the line in a storm of fire. The rest kept moving. "Still on track," Ortega shouted. Jonah saw the rail cut ahead. Beyond it, the black belly of the Genesis vessel filled the sky. It was so large, his mind rejected it. A moving fortress. A factory for stolen dead. A future where human courage would wear chains. He opened the radio. "Fort Riley, this is Train 1. We are committed," Bell answered. "Copy, Train 1. Her voice softened. "Godspeed." Jonah looked at Ortega. "How do we set the dead man?" Ortega pointed. "Already did." Jonah stared at him. "What?" Ortega shrugged. "You think I was teaching you because I planned to jump?" Before Jonah could speak, Ortega hit him with a wrench. Not hard enough to kill, hard enough to drop him. Jonah fell against the side console, vision bursting white. Ortega grabbed his vest and dragged him toward the cab door. "Tell my wife I was useful," Ortega said. Jonah tried to fight him. His limbs would not answer. Ortega kicked the door open. Wind roared. The train was doing nearly 90. "You crazy bastard," Jonah slurred. Ortega smiled. "Human, Commander. The word is human." Then he shoved Jonah out. Jonah hit the gravel slope and rolled into darkness. The train thundered on. At Fort Riley, Bell watched the track icon enter the kill zone. She closed her hand. Mark. The world fired. Artillery, mortars, rockets, tank guns, drone swarms, homemade missiles, captured plasma rifles, rail charges, fuel depots, grain dust explosions. Every weapon humans could aim at the sky erupted at once. The Genesis vessel's shield became visible, a vast blue-white skin flittering under a million impacts. It absorbed heat. It deflected metal. It dispersed plasma. It adapted. Then the freight train reached the rail cut beneath it. Luis Ortega stood alone in the cab, one hand on the throttle, the other on a small photograph taped to the console. His wife. His 2 grandsons. He whispered, "Stay free." The train detonated. The blast did not look like a bomb. It looked like the continent punching upward. Fire, steel, concrete, grain dust, fuel vapor, and shattered rail cars became a rising mountain. The shield flared, overcorrected, and rippled thin across its lower axis. For half a second, the Genesis vessel was naked. Marcus Hale had saved one weapon for that half second. Not a missile, not a nuke. Something older in concept, newer in execution. A tungsten kinetic lance hidden in a dead satellite graveyard, powered by emergency boosters and aimed days earlier by mathematicians working with pencils when computers failed. It fell from orbit without guidance. A spear of dead weight. The Veyr systems ignored it until too late because it emitted no signal, carried no engine heat, and did not care about jamming. Gravity did the killing. The lance struck the exposed underside of Genesis at 12 kilometers per second. It punched through the foundry core. For a moment, the great ship hung in the sky, silent. Then light tore through its seams. On the Dominion flagship, Savan whispered, "Impossible." High Marshal Threx watched the Genesis vessel break in half over Kansas. Its forward section collapsed sideways, engines failing, its rear rose burning from within. Escape pods burst from its spine like sparks. Then the foundry core exploded. The shockwave flattened trees for miles. Fort Riley's remaining walls cracked. Every window in 3 counties shattered. The sky rained black metal. But the Genesis vessel fell, and with it fell the Dominion's dream of stealing humanity's dead. In the rail-cut crater, nothing remained of the train. Not the locomotives, not the cars, not Luis Ortega. Only twisted rails pointed upward like broken fingers. Jonah Pierce woke under a sky full of ash. Marcy Bell was slapping his face. "Again?" "You're making a habit of this," he groaned. She laughed and cried at the same time. "You stupid Navy mule." He tried to sit up. Pain answered from everywhere. "The train?" Her face changed. Jonah understood. He closed his eyes. "Ortega?" She shook her head. Jonah lay back on the cold ground and listened to pieces of alien ship fall across Kansas like iron rain. Fort Riley did not cheer for long. The Veyr counterattack came before dawn. High Marshal Threx had lost the Genesis vessel but not the fleet. His pride was wounded, his campaign broken, his timetable ruined. Now he wanted punishment. Dominion ships moved into lower orbit and began preparing a sterilization pattern across central North America. Rotow saw it first on a damaged sensor feed. "He will burn the continent," he said. Marcus, linked in from Cheyenne, stood over the strategic table. "How do we stop him?" Rotow looked at the orbital map. "You cannot. Not from the ground," Reyes said. "We still have nuclear capability. They will intercept most. The rest may damage escorts, not the flagship." Marcus's eyes fixed on the crown of ash. The command ship, the mind of the invasion. What if the flagship dies? Rotal blinked slowly. Dominion doctrine requires campaign withdrawal if a high marshal is killed before assimilation. Rival houses will not risk inheriting blame. How do we kill it? Rotal did not answer. Then he looked toward the corner of the command center, where technicians had been studying his crashed vessel's systems. My ship's core can open a breach into their command network. Briefly, it was designed to run from them, not attack. If connected to one of your surviving uplink arrays, it may blind their point defenses for seconds. Reyes leaned over the table. Enough for a nuclear strike? Perhaps one warhead. Marcus looked at the map. The surviving uplink array was not in Cheyenne. It was in Colorado Springs. Open ground. Already under Veyr assault. Reyes understood first. No. Marcus looked at her. Someone has to take the core there. Send a convoy. It won't make it unless the Veyr chase something more important. Her expression hardened. You're talking about yourself. I'm the ranking commander they can identify. If I surface, Drexel see bait worth taking. Reyes stepped close, voice low and fierce. You don't get to turn guilt into strategy. Marcus flinched. She had struck cleaner than any alien weapon. This isn't about Lily, he said. Yes, it is. It always is. You think if you die at the right moment, it balances the scale. The command center pretended not to listen. Marcus looked away. For 7 years, he had carried the hospital room inside him. The missed calls, the small hand, the promise kept too late. I'm afraid, he said quietly. Reyes softened, but did not step back. Of dying? Of surviving again. The truth sat between them. Then Rotal spoke. General Hale, survival is not cowardice. I learned that too late. Marcus looked at him. The alien captain's body was failing. His skin had gone ashen. Rotal continued. You're dead. Do not ask you to join them. They ask what you will do with the time they bought. Marcus closed his eyes. When he opened them, the old death wish had loosened its grip. Not gone, but named. That mattered. He turned to Reyes. You're right. I'm not going to Colorado Springs. Relief flashed across her face. Then he said, we both are. The convoy left Cheyenne through a collapsed service tunnel before dawn. 6 armored vehicles, 2 decoy columns, 1 alien data core, 1 dying KEF captain, 1 American general who no longer wanted to die and therefore was finally dangerous. The road to Colorado Springs was a battlefield of abandoned cars, burned tanks, and drifting ash. Veyr drones found the decoys first. Explosions bloomed in the distance. Then the real convoy hit trouble 10 miles out. A walker rose from behind a ridge and fired. The lead vehicle vanished. Marcus's truck swerved through smoke. Reyes shouted orders into the radio. Human vehicles split apart using terrain, wreckage, and dust. Rotal clutched the core to his chest. They are locking onto its signal. Can you mask it? No. Marcus grabbed the radio. All units, close with that walker. A young driver yelled, Sir, close, under its guns! The convoy accelerated toward the alien machine. The walker tried to depress its main weapon, but human vehicles moved inside its firing angle. Soldiers bailed out while trucks were still rolling. Rockets slammed into leg joints. One vehicle rammed a foot actuator and exploded. The walker staggered. Reyes climbed onto the hood of a wrecked truck with a launcher. Marcus shouted, Anna! She fired. The rocket punched into the exposed joint behind the walker's head. The machine collapsed, crushing 2 empty vehicles and 1 man who had not run fast enough. No time to mourn. They drove on. Colorado Springs burned ahead. The uplink array stood on a hill above the city, 3 white dishes cracked but intact. Veyr infantry had already reached the perimeter. Human defenders fought from sandbags and maintenance sheds. Air Force technicians fired rifles beside Army cooks. A chaplain dragged ammunition boxes through mud. Marcus's convoy crashed through the rear gate. Rotal stumbled out with the core. A technician saw him and froze. Reyes shoved the man toward the control building. He's with us! Move! Inside, the array control room was half destroyed. Sparks fell from the ceiling. A dead operator lay covered with a jacket. Rotal connected the core with shaking hands, fingers moving through alien light. Marcus watched the orbital countdown on a cracked screen. Dominion sterilization pattern ready in 3 minutes. Reyes held the door with 6 soldiers. Alien fire cut through the hallway. 1 soldier fell, then another. Marcus joined the line, firing controlled shots. A Veyr infantryman pushed through smoke, 4 arms moving like blades. Marcus shot it twice. It kept coming. He drew his sidearm and fired into the neck seal until the alien dropped at his feet. Behind him, Rotal whispered, I am in. On the flagship Crown of Ash, High Marshal Threx prepared to erase the center of human resistance. The loss of Genesis had been severe, but not final. Earth would be made an example, its population reduced, its remains harvested later under stricter control. Then the bridge lights flickered. Savan stiffened. Command intrusion. From where? Ground source, mixed architecture, Keth encryption, and human analog carrier. Threx's crest rose in disbelief. Cut it out. Attempting. Across the bridge, screens filled with human faces. Not live feeds. Recordings, soldiers, children, workers, pilots, farmers, dead and living. 1,000 stolen broadcasts, emergency messages, helmet cams, family videos, last calls. The intrusion poured them into Dominion systems. Then Marcus Hale's voice came through the flagship speakers. Threx Vol. The High Marshal turned slowly toward the sound. Marcus stood in the control room on Earth, blood on his face, rifle in hand. "You came here for a legion," Marcus said. "You wanted our dead because you thought death made us useful." Rotal's fingers moved faster through the light. "You misunderstood us," Savan shouted. "Point defense is cycling blind. In hidden silos, under oceans, and from mobile launchers concealed in ravines, humanity fired its last coordinated strategic strike. Most missiles died. The Veyr destroyed them by the dozens, but for 7 seconds their defense grid saw ghosts. Keith funeral songs, human weather balloons, false heat blooms, analog echoes, dead satellites, reflections off storm clouds. One missile survived, then another. Then one aging submarine-launched warhead, fired by a crew that knew they would never return to silence. Threx watched the trajectory appear too late. Intercept. Savan's hands froze over dead controls. The first warhead detonated against the flagship's forward shield and weakened it. The second struck the exposed command spine. The third entered through the wound and blossomed inside the Crown of Ash. Nuclear fire filled the heart of the Dominion invasion. The flagship broke open above Earth. For a moment, a second sunrise burned over the curve of the world. In Colorado Springs, the shock of cheers came through every radio channel still alive. Then the uplink array exploded. Not from orbit, from overload. Marcus woke on the floor under smoke and falling dust. His ears rang. His ribs screamed. Reyes was beside him, unconscious but breathing. Rotal lay near the console. The alien core had melted into slag. Marcus crawled to him. Rotal's amber eyes opened halfway. "Did it work?" he asked. Marcus looked at the cracked screen. The Crown of Ash was gone. Dominion fleet icons were scattering. "It worked." Rotal exhaled. For the first time, his face seemed peaceful. "My mate will mock me," he whispered. "For what? Taking so long?" His eyes dimmed. Marcus stayed with him until the end. Outside, the sky was still full of enemies. But they were leaving. Not all at once, not politely. Some tried to bombard cities before retreating and were hunted by surviving missiles and aircraft. Some abandoned ground troops who fought until surrounded. Some surrendered when they realized humans took prisoners more often than the Dominion did. High Marshal Threx Vol died with his ship. The Veyr Dominion did not collapse that day. Empires that old do not die from one wound, but they remembered Earth. They remembered the garden world that burned their harvest ship. They remembered the primitive mammals who turned trains into siege weapons and weather into camouflage. They remembered civilians who fought for strangers, soldiers who retrieved their dead under fire, and commanders who learned the difference between sacrifice and surrender. And across the Dominion's border worlds, another thing began. A whisper. The Keth remnant heard that Rotal had reached Earth. Slave species heard that the Crown of Ash had fallen. Occupied moons heard that the Veyr could bleed. By the time the last alien ship vanished into broken light beyond the moon, Earth had lost more than any victory song could carry. Cities were craters, oceans held fleets, fields held graves. Millions were gone, millions more wounded. The sky itself looked scarred. But Earth remained Earth. 3 weeks after the invasion, Marcus Hale stood in Kansas beside the rail-cut crater. The place had become a memorial before anyone ordered it. Dog tags hung from twisted metal, helmets, photographs. A child's drawing of a train flying into a spaceship. Someone had welded a sign from scrap steel. LUIS or Kia drove here. Jonah Pierce stood nearby with one arm in a sling. Marcy Bell leaned against him like she had decided he was too stupid to be left unsupervised. General Aisha Bell approached with Daniel's photograph tucked into her breast pocket. For a while, no one spoke. The wind moved through the broken grass.
"Finally," Jonah said, "he hit me with a wrench."
Aisha Bell looked at him.
"Sounds like he knew you."
Marcy snorted. Marcus almost laughed. It hurt his ribs, but he let it happen. Reyes walked up beside him, her sling gone now, though her arms still moved stiffly.
"They're ready for you,"
she said. Below the hill, cameras had been set up. Not many. The networks were still rebuilding. The speech would travel through radio, local relays, military channels, and recordings passed hand to hand. Humanity wanted words. Marcus did not feel worthy of giving them. Reyes seemed to read his mind. "Don't make it perfect," she said. "Make it true." He stepped before the microphone. The world listened through static. Marcus looked at the crater, then at the people gathered around it. Soldiers, farmers, engineers, nurses, pilots. Children sitting on tank hulls, old men with rifles, women with bandaged hands. Faces from every color and country linked by exhaustion and survival. He began quietly. "They came for our dead." The crowd stilled. They believed our pain was a resource. They believed our history made us broken. They believed the wars, famines, storms, predators, diseases, winters, deserts, oceans, and grief that shaped us had made us easy to harvest. He looked toward the sky. They were wrong. A low murmur moved through the crowd. Marcus continued. "We are not strong because we do not suffer. We are strong because we remember how to stand up afterward. We are not brave because we do not fear death. We are brave because there are things we refuse to let death take." His voice roughened. "I have spent my life believing duty meant leaving something behind. A home, a family, a piece of myself. Many of you know that wound. Too many." He took a breath. "This victory belongs to those who stayed. Those who drove the trains, held the trenches, carried the wounded, burned the dead before the enemy could steal them, fed strangers, fixed radios, fired back, refused to kneel." Marcy lowered her head. Jonah wiped his eyes with the back of his good hand. Aisha Bell touched the photo in her pocket. Marcus finished. "The Dominion came to awaken a legion. They thought it would serve them." He looked across the crowd. "They awakened us instead." The first cheer rose from somewhere near the back, then another. Then the sound became thunder. Not triumph without grief, not victory without cost, something older. The sound humans made around fires after the wolves were driven back. Months later, the first captured Veyr archives were translated. They found Threxval's original invasion assessment, Sol 3, primitive, divided, militarily inferior, psychologically vulnerable, recommended for rapid harvest. Someone printed the page and hung it in the rebuilt command center beneath Cheyenne Mountain. Under it, Colonel Reyes wrote 6 words in black marker. They should have read our history. Years passed. Earth rebuilt with alien metal and human stubbornness. The first orbital defense ring rose over the equator. The first joint human fleet launched from lunar shipyards. Keth refugees found homes in Alaska, Mongolia, and the Andes because they liked open spaces and cold mornings. Rotal's name was carved on a memorial wall between human soldiers he had known for less than 2 weeks and died to save anyway. Jonah Pierce eventually returned to Norfolk, where the harbor still smelled faintly of smoke when it rained. Marcy Bell married him in a ceremony interrupted by 3 separate arguments. One fistfight between cousins, and a flyover by aircraft that technically had not been cleared for civilian airspace. General Aisha Bell oversaw the construction of Earth's first interstellar logistics command. She named the main rail terminal Ortega Station. Marcus Hale retired 5 years after the invasion, though everyone knew retirement was a flexible word for men like him. On the anniversary of the first landing, he visited a quiet cemetery in Colorado. He sat between 2 stones. Evelyn Hale, Lily Hale. The grass was green. The sky was clear except for the silver line of the defense ring catching sunlight. Marcus placed a small packet of peanut butter crackers beside Lily's grave. "I stayed," he said. The wind moved through the trees. For once, there was no alarm, no siren, no voice from the stars. Only Earth breathing around him, hard, scarred, alive. Far beyond the orbit of Neptune, a damaged Dominion probe drifted in the dark, watching the blue world it had failed to classify. It sent one final message back toward Imperial space before its power died. Warning: Sol 3 is not suitable for harvest. Native species displays extreme resistance cohesion under existential threat. Planetary environment functions as continuous combat conditioning system. Do not engage without total Imperial mobilization. Then, after a long pause, the probe added a line no Veyr machine had ever written before. They are not primitives. They are what survives death worlds. And in the darkness between stars, where conquered peoples whispered of rebellion and old empires pretended not to fear, a new name for humanity began to spread. Not Terrans, not Solborn, not mammals, the Death World Legion. But on Earth, they simply called themselves human, and that was enough. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Midnight Galaxy for more HFY tales from the darkest stars. Humanity has only begun to rise.